Hello, hello. Welcome to yet another episode of the Code and Coffee Show. Today we are going to talk about something weird because there are some things obvious in the world, right? Like the fact that we'll die, the fact that we'll have to pay taxes, and the fact that you need to have an Apache and a database to run your WordPress, right? No, not today. That's why I have Adam Zieliński with me, and he will show us how we can run WordPress within our browser without the need of a server. Adam is the creator of WordPress Playground, a WordPress core committer, and the tech editor release lead for WordPress 6.0. He lives in Wrocław in Poland. He's bouldering, practicing improv comedy, and playing badminton in his spare time. Only this or something else?
Oh, that was excellent. You got everything.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so before we will jump into the whole magic part that you created, because let's be honest, running WordPress without a server, it is kind of magic. Let's talk coffee, because Adam is again one of those lucky person. I mean, it was lucky for me that we had a chance to drink coffee in real life, right? We had the chance to drink it both in Łódź and in Gliwice. So tell me, what is your favorite coffee type?
ah, ah, I should have come prepared for that specific question, shouldn't I? Well,
Yeah, you
I
should.
mostly drink decaf coffee, and that will probably be a big, I'll probably get a big boo from all the coffee lovers out there. But regular coffee doesn't go too well with the medicine I take. So unfortunately, I'm kind of forced to do decaf. But when I do drink a regular one, well, I really like Ethiopian coffee. Like, was it you who told me that the coffee in Ethiopia grows wild?
Yes, that's probably me. I mean, because yeah, if I don't know what to say, I start talking about coffee because it's so good, right?
Yeah, like no one else told me that before or after. So thank you for sharing that. And in Wrocław, there's this coffee place where the owner won, I think, was it like European Brewing Championship or like second place in
Mhm.
the World Brewing Championship, like one of the two. And like no matter what beans you have, like if you go there, it will be great.
Oh yes, I also very often heard this opinion that when it comes to Ethiopian coffee, you will always be a bit surprised because it grows in the wild, so you never know what you will get. But in general, it will be good. But to be honest, you mentioned a very interesting topic of decaf coffee because finding a good decaf coffee is very difficult. I know because together with my wife when she was pregnant, we tried to find the perfect decaf coffee and it was very difficult, but I can tell you, Gardelli has an amazing Colombia. It tastes
Yeah,
it
I'm
tastes like
writing
real
it down.
coffee, I would say. Yeah, and while right now I have water with me, but I also prepared because just today I opened this nice pack of
Nice.
there is a oh yeah of
Wait,
Kyoto from
Kyoto.
Burundi. It's yes, it's also very good, quite fruity. So, but yeah, it's caffeinated, so it depends. But like I
I
said,
would
when
still
it
love to try it. That's
oh yeah,
amazing.
I mean, just come on. I mean, the train to which isn't that.
Yeah.
That doesn't take that long, right?
And since I'll be
Uh,
starting my sabbatical like in a couple of weeks, well, maybe I'll come and visit actually.
that's a perfect idea. Come on. I mean, I just hope the weather will be better because I don't know
No,
how on your end, but here in which we have heavy rains and it's after Athens because we were just together and WordCamp Europe in Athens where it was crazy hot. It was sunny, and suddenly we have go to back here and it's not so warm anymore. I mean,
well, which
maybe
means boat, so the name checks out, I would say. If it rains a little bit more, you will need one.
oh yeah, oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I saw a few places today where we had this small even the floodings. So yeah, it
Oh,
was
really?
like the first day of coming back from sunny Athens, and we have something like this. So hey, it's great.
Yikes. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Okay. So before we will jump into talking about I wanted to say serverless WordPress, but that's not true. But I mean, it's just WordPress without the server. Uh, Running a channel like this requires some additional help, and big thanks go to Kinsta for sponsoring it. The next 20 seconds are on them.
Kinsta's application hosting simplifies the work of modern web developers. With just a few steps to get your app up and running with performance backed by the fastest Google C2 machines, Kinsta has built a development platform designed to get your applications in front of users as quick as possible. Test Kinsta's application hosting for yourself at kinsta.com. The first $20 are on us.
Okay, so we are back. Thank you, Kinsta. Okay, let's start with the why. Because why did you even thought about creating a WordPress that won't require a server to run?
Oh, one sentence. I had to write a WordPress tutorial, and like it wasn't the first half of it, but it feels like the first half of it was just setup instructions. Download this, install Node.js. Oh, by the way, you don't know what is a terminal. Well, maybe we need to cover that. And Git and npm and web. I can keep going, right? There's a lot of these little tools you have to do. And that tutorial was not just WordPress, but it was Gutenberg data layer. So it probably had the most setup you can when you're writing a tutorial about something related to WordPress core. And so it got me thinking, well, if I just could run WordPress right there in that browser tab, because I was explaining JavaScript APIs, right? Well, you can run JavaScript in a browser. However, this specific API, it needed a REST API. So it needed to be able to connect to a WordPress instance. And I couldn't do that easily. I could host a WordPress site, but, well, I would have to give everyone admin access. So people would start changing content and like maybe, yeah, like deleting all pages would probably be one of the best things that could go worst, could go bad, right? Like there's many worse things that could happen there. And so it got me thinking, well, what if I could just run like the entire API right there in that tutorial? And a week later, I had an MVP.
Okay,
took some more months to make it actually like usable, but yeah, like it turned out it was possible.
But how does WordPress Playground even works?
Questionable questions. So should I, can I show a diagram? I think like, let me share my screen actually.
Of course.
In the fantastic Docusaurus documentation, I'm saying fantastic because you recommended me that tool. I have a few diagrams and all right, here's one. So understand. Okay. So there's a few components to WordPress Playground. Like the very basic, like the thing that makes it even possible is something called WebAssembly. And WebAssembly is a way of running regular programs like PHP inside the browser. So how that typically works is that PHP itself is a program and it's written in another programming language called C. So a C program could look like this here. It just says hello world on the screen. So normally you take this, you put it into something called a compiler, and one of them is called GCC. It gives you an executable file, and on Windows, this would be hello.exe. And then you can, well, execute it and see hello world on your screen. So WebAssembly is the same idea, but for the browser and JavaScript in general. So just take a different compiler. This one is called mscripton, and we get a JavaScript file and a WASM file. So it turns out you can run them in pretty much any JavaScript runtime. So maybe Node.js or maybe a web browser. And this gives you the same hello world. So this also means Playground can run both in a browser and in a Node.js. And in fact, oh, here's something exciting. So my colleague from Automatic, Ella, she just yesterday shipped a prototype of a mobile app that runs just WordPress. it doesn't load WordPress from the internet. WordPress runs on the iOS device, and it's a note-taking app. So it saves your notes as HTML files, and then like through iCloud, they come to all your devices, desktop, tablet. So this is a completely new era for WordPress, I would say. Now, instead of being a server-side app, it's an everything app.
Also, I think that in many cases it's maybe it's not a problem because it's just the way it is, and we are kind of used to the fact that WordPress is always a stateful application. But by default, this WASM environment is quite stateless, right? So every time we kind of refresh the tab, we have to remember that before hitting the refresh button, we have to kind of export the data, right?
I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to show something that I wasn't demoing before. So in fact, this is this says localhost, but in fact, this feature is on playground.wordpress.net. So in here, there's a little button that says temporary site, and if I click it, I can switch to persistent site. So and this here, you'll already notice that it says edited before refresh, because earlier today I went on this page and I changed that. So let's edit it again. I'm going to say hello coffee. No, just that. And I'm going to refresh the entire playground right now, and look at that. There's hello coffee. So yeah, it was a problem, but it's no longer a problem. And in fact, I have another little prototype. I'm not able to bring it very quickly on my screen right now, but there's another button in that prototype that you can use to select a directory from your computer, and it will use that in your browser. And if you make any changes in your browser, like you install a plugin, this plugin will magically show up in your disk.
Oh, so it's I must say that WordPress Playground is growing quite quickly because let me be honest, I remember for the first time when I read about it, yeah, WordPress running in the browser, cool, amazing from an engineering point of view, wow. But that's it. I could not find any use case, especially at the beginning. But now when I see how it is growing, the new ways how we can use it. For example, we can see it already on the translating on the polyglots page, right? Because we can see how it is used in, let's call it, in the wild. I also saw quite a few examples on your
I'm just
blog.
pulling up the polyglots page you mentioned.
Yeah, but I also saw it on your blog when there are running snippets. And the German version, if I see. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I can right click this and propose a new translation. And I'm not a very good German speaker, so I'll just say hello. And interesting part is that, well, if I do something differently, I think if I'm, I think I need to like log in to different, I don't know, but like there's a way to have a button here that says export to translate WordPress org. And you can also plug in your, I think I know where this is, where it is. Or maybe I don't. And like you can also plug in your, well, I don't think I'll find it right now, but you can plug in your OpenAI API key, and then it will allow you to use ChatGPT for translations right in the browser with no server. And the code snippets you mentioned, this is it. And in fact, this plugin just got approved to WordPress plugin directory. It's not public yet. I need to do a SVN commit to make it public, but in a couple of days, probably everyone will be able to install it, and maybe we'll even get it on WordPress.org documentation.
Amazing. Yeah, because from your perspective, what are the best use cases of using WordPress Playground?
I thought I know them, but I'm just starting to learn. Turns out, like Ella built this mobile app. I had no idea someone would come up with this, and it's fantastic. So In general, Playground is a zero setup interactive WordPress that you can program. So interactive demos in WordPress documentation, like code snippets are cool, but imagine like if you're a user and you want to learn how to build a site or a theme, and there's a interactive WordPress and there's a huge mouse cursor and it just starts doing things for you. And there's a voiceover or some explanation. Hey, like if you want to create a theme, well, start by maybe cloning this theme and then make some customizations. And if you get at any point you get confused, maybe there could be a little back button. So you could go forward and backwards, and maybe you could stop it and start exploring your own thing if you're interested. So anything related to learning and interactive learning, really. Bringing WordPress to any device whatsoever. So WordPress has a huge ecosystem of apps. And for the last, I would say 20 years maybe, JavaScript has been opening a lot of doors. So we have JavaScript on a server, in a browser, on mobile devices, desktop devices, tablet devices, ecosystem of plugins built with JavaScript, like for Visual Studio Code on your computer, in the browser also. Well, now WordPress can go to all these places. So maybe zero setup development environments, or maybe even if we integrate ChatGPT into that, well, that could be WordPress Valet, right? You say, I want a plugin that shows the weather, and it does that. And then you say, well, but I want to show 7 tiles, and it does that for you, but it does so in context of WordPress. So learning, building. Well, you know what? I have a note with a ton of these ideas. Why don't I pull it up? So there's, well, product previews, right? If you're building a plugin and maybe you're selling it, maybe it's open source, but most plugins right now do screenshots and videos on their websites because they cannot easily show a demo. Well, with Playground, there can be an interactive plugin demo, and it can also showcase the most important features first. And maybe in the future, there's a project to have interactive demos on WordPress.org, also in plugin directory. Maybe in the future in WordPress core, you'll have a little preview button that will securely preview things using Playground, right? Because in Playground is sandboxed environment, you can completely isolate it from your computer or server, and then you don't run into a risk of breaking something or even installing malicious plugin. It's all contained. Staging websites, right? Like make any changes to your WordPress site that you're afraid of. So maybe like you can export your WordPress site, import it into Playground, try anything at all. And maybe in the future that could be automated, or there would be even live Playground on WordPress.org. And once you're happy with the result, there could be a host button, right? So now you can host the site directly. Well, I can keep going, but I'll share one more very cool futuristic use case. So the web is larger and larger on edge computing lately. So I saw someone running Playground in blockchain where everything is immutable. You cannot change things, right? But Playground is a static file or a set of static files. So maybe in the future, we could see WordPress sites running directly on edge servers with no centralized infrastructure at all. Or even if PHP was shipped with web browsers, well, website hosting could be just static files, right? And you wouldn't need PHP runtime on the server because it would be on your computer. And then even WordPress core could start reusing code between backend and frontend.
I mean, yes. And
is that a
I'm
satisfying answer?
also, I'm quite sure that many people from the community will soon figure out much more ideas about
Certainly.
did not ever even thought how to benefit from it. From my perspective,
I skipped one very important use case.
Oh, yeah.
There's a tool called WP Now that sets up WordPress development environment on your computer with no setup whatsoever. So you don't need Docker, you don't need local, you don't need zip files. You just install it, and it's a one command install, or you can even install the Visual Studio Code extension of it, and that's just a plugin. So install a Visual Studio Code plugin, you click a button, boom, that's WordPress site on your computer, and now you can start developing, right? Like gone are the days of 10-hour setup process.
Oh, true, true. Especially with Docker, because it really took quite a while, especially on slower machines.
Oh yeah.
It was a true nightmare, and I had the chance to see how quick it works. So it was just like, and it was there, and I can. For me, one of the really amazing ways of using WordPress Playground is finally a quick way of checking themes, because for a long time WordPress theme catalog was kind of we know it's kind of outdated, right? And there wasn't any idea how to make it working. And right now, the only thing that we would need is always to kind of add not only the theme but also to pack the website with some dummy data to make sure that
Yes.
we are exploring at least all the core blocks. But still, it's it's a huge thing. It's much better than what we have right now, because, like I said, it's kind of lacking to say at least.
Well,
And
yeah, and with Playground, there is one very cool thing about themes. So there is this common complaint that, well, I see a beautiful theme, I apply it to my website, and my website looks nothing like the preview. And block themes solve a large part of that, but still, how cool it would be to see a beautiful theme and just start customizing it there. And then
oh yeah,
maybe after an hour or so, like you have something of your own that um, illustrates the idea that you had in your mind, and then you can just use it, right? That's your site.
yeah, you just click export and or whatever because it will be just
Export
depending
host
on
like
the
any.
exactly. And from the developer perspective, if a developer wants to start playing with it, using it, in which way they can start? Because there are quite a few ways of kind of interacting with WordPress Playground.
Yep. The easiest way, I'm going to demo. Uh, the easiest way is actually very easy. So I'll go to github.com/WordPress Playground. This is the repository. And here's a tiny HTML file. And all it does is it includes a little library, and it's like really tiny, like, I don't know, 4 kilobytes, maybe 5.
Mhm.
It calls a function, and this starts Playground on the site that where you run it. And it also logs you in as an admin and installs a couple of one plugin called Friends by Alex Kirk. So I'll take it. Well, what would be a good place to try it? Maybe JS Fiddle.
Mhm.
I'm going to take that exact thing, and I really hope JS Fiddle likes doc types. This is very large, by the way. I'm going to make this maybe too small. All right. So first rule of live demos, something will go wrong. Well, I say iframe here, but I never, see, I should fix that in the doc. Well, I learned a little cool trick lately, which is that if you have a element with a specific ID, you can use it as a JavaScript variable. Let's see if it works with ES modules. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, of course, because I changed, yeah, this is still named iframe, but now I want to put WP in there. Sorry about that.
One thing, you are probably just sharing your window, not the whole screen.
Well, am I showing? All right, is this bad or good?
I don't know. I'm just seeing the part of your blog, right?
Oh, sorry about that. Well,
That's the cool part about live shows. They
all
are
right.
adventurous. They are adventurous. Things happen.
Well, this is the correct thing now. So, once again, so this is
Could you zoom in a bit?
I will, but just to make up for the part that no one has seen, apparently. This is so this is github.com/WordPress Playground. And here's a code snippet. So this is just a little bit of HTML. And I just copied this code snippet. I put it in JS Fiddle. So this is, and I'm going to zoom in. So this is the
Oh,
exact
awesome.
same code snippet. Can I make this smaller? Yeah. And I pasted it here. And apparently I had a typo. So I had to add this little fragment here, which is a good reminder to update the docs. But that's all I needed to get a playground. So this on my right is a playground where I'm logged in as an admin and where a little plugin called Friends is installed at. And we can see it right here. It says Friends. So this is so-called blueprint, and it helps you set up WordPress with any, well, arbitrarily complex WordPress. So you can install plugins, you can build themes, like pre-installed themes. You can run any custom PHP code on that website, like the translations plugin I showed earlier. The maybe I can switch. All right. Do you see the correct card? Yes, you do. So this
Yes.
thing built by Alex Kirk, and I should really share my entire screen. I'll do that next time. But this is the source code of that. So there's some CSS in here, but we get to the interesting part here. So this is the exact same library used in that simple example. And we also have Start Playground Web, and we also have blueprints. So the translation, live translations, are set up using a blueprint that logs you in. Well, it downloads translation files from WordPress.org for the language that you choose, the one in the URL right here, German, in this case. It runs a bunch of a little bit more PHP code to get things set up. So maybe it does some REST API calls, which you can also do like in any other setup. And that's it. It's how much that is, like line 275 starts. Yeah, like it's a little bit more than 100 lines of JavaScript to set up live translations up. And the entire source code of that page, because it's self-contained, there are no other libraries other than the playground one included here. So this entire page with CSS, with HTML, it has 345 lines of code. So that's how easy it is. And there's a bunch of examples in Playground documentation. So there are links all over the place, like you'll find one in GitHub repo, but it's also WordPress GitHub IO / WordPress Playground / docs / start here. So there's a ton of examples here, like build an app with WordPress Playground. And you can build, for example, pull request previewer. So there's one for Gutenberg. If I put any pull request number here, and I'll do this one. This is my secret pull request that just shows a bunch of warnings. That's how we know it works. So I put it here, and it starts a playground. It starts downloading the pull request files. It applies them on top of this playground, and in a few seconds we'll be able to see WordPress with that change. So first I'm going to show how this works, and then see,
Beautiful.
there are warnings I told you about. So the way it works is described here in its entirety, but guess what? It's another blueprint. So Playground is all about blueprints, right? It logs you in, downloads a pull request using a special endpoint, and installs it as a plugin. That's it. So this is the entire code that's required to build a pull request previewer with WordPress Playground. And I know Johnny Harris was very interested in building one for WordPress core, not just for Gutenberg. So that was a very long answer to a very short question. In short, to start building things with Playground, go to the docs and let the documentation guide you. And if you have any questions whatsoever, well, we're very friendly on GitHub in the issues section, and also on a meta-playground Slack channel in WordPress core Slack.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, blueprints are a very powerful feature, because yeah, you can build everything, and I can really imagine how great it can be really for building those special WordPress to preview your products, because like this is the thing, because when I think like the way how people do it right now, so they have this WordPress that is like set on auto clearing once per day or once per hour. But let's be honest, it's not a good way. It's also not a safe way, as safe
Yeah,
as possible, because there is still this time. So if some vulnerability will be released into, for example, WordPress, because yeah, it happens.
yeah,
Yeah, this is this public server that everyone can access, and it won't.
yeah. And security is a huge deal. But to me personally, like the largest problem with this specific approach that you mentioned is it's just so inconvenient to set up. No one wants to do it, and very few companies do it.
Oh, true, that's true. And to be honest, I would not like to maintain it, like
Yeah,
never. And here, I can see that it's just like changing a line or two at some point when it comes to maintenance, right? Because
yeah,
setting up, okay, I have to put all those, even in this, even the worst case that you showed in the translate, like those 300 lines of code. Okay, you have to do it one time,
yeah. And
but
that's an HTML page. You can host it from
exactly,
Amazon S3, right, or GitHub pages.
exactly. And tell me, what are your plans for the future with WordPress Playground? Where would you like it to? Which sections would you like it to grow? When you would like to get used to? How do you see it?
So the way I like to talk about it since Sunday, when Denis Snell said these exact words near me, is that Playground is a platform for building platforms. So it's a foundational tool to empower all developers to make things easier for people with WordPress. So I want Playground to not have any barriers for building things. Like, for example, you asked me earlier on this call, do I have to start over if I refresh my page on WordPress Playground, right? Do I lose all my changes? Well, that's a friction point, that's a barrier. And now with this new feature, no, you no longer have to. So I want to remove all such friction points, right? So we could just seamlessly start WordPress and don't think like, is it on a server? Is it in my browser? Do I have to do anything at all now? Regardless of your use case, like, do you want to learn WordPress? Do you want to teach others how to use WordPress? Do you want to build with WordPress? Do you want to test a pull request? Are you working on a product team related to WordPress? Do you want to
Mhm.
build a theme? Do you want to build an entire development environment? Do you have a hosting company and you want to make it easier for developers using your services to build with WordPress and synchronize changes? Do you need a staging environment? Like all these use cases, do you want to build a mobile app, right? All of this, just make it very easy for everyone to do. So some of these things involve working on user-facing features, like the button I just showed you for doing a permanent site, right? Persistent sites to avoid losing your changes. Some of these things require foundational work at the WebAssembly level. So there's an entire spectrum of things. And let's see. Yeah, there is an entire section about WordPress Playground roadmap and vision in the GitHub repo in 2 pinned issues. So anyone who's interested in more context about that, I highly recommend visiting those and reading up a bit more. But that's it in a nutshell, right? Just, well, maybe if you want to build a mobile app, Playground could give you a button. So you set up your site as you want it. You
Mhm.
click, you move things around, you click a button, boom, that's a file you can upload to App Store, right? Why not?
This would be really amazing. I mean, I'm not sure how Apple will react to those, but who knows? Maybe they will. But during your, because if someone is not familiar, Adam had a talk during WordCamp Gliwice, and I still remember the first words of your presentation, and this was something very interesting. You said WordPress is difficult, and for me, the first reaction is no, it's not. It's so easy. You just install a server that you need a database and this and that. Oh yeah, it is difficult. It is difficult. We are just forgetting that we have all this experience. So um, how would how would you react if someone would start their presentation with WordPress Playground is difficult?
Oh, I would love it. I would take a whole lot of notes, and then I would uh, create a whole lot of issues in the Playground repo, and then I would talk to that person and get all their feedback I can. One of the guiding principles for building WordPress Playground is to put the developer or the user first, right? Like I'm saying developer or the user because some users of WordPress Playground are developers. If you take a library and you use it in your program, well, you are a user. We may call it developer experience, but why not just call it user experience? So if that person said that, oh, that would be so lovely, because it's very easy to build a product and not realize what you're not seeing, right? Maybe you're so used to going through that 5-minute installation process that you no longer notice it takes 5 hours, right? Or maybe you're so used to losing your data in Playground that it's not even longer a problem. You just accommodated to it. So a lot of this actually happened on WordCamp EU a couple of days ago. People were saying, well, but I'm going to lose my data. That's why I built this feature that I showed earlier today. People are saying, oh, but if I want to use it in my very specific use case, it doesn't support this and this PHP extension, right? And I wasn't like, this wasn't on my orbit at all. Like I wasn't paying attention to these very specific feedback points. So yes, please, if you find Playground difficult, like tell me like right away. I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I must say that the way how you are uh, caring about everyone to make the experience as good as possible, it's really amazing, really,
Thank you.
because like I mentioned, we are getting used to many things, and I think that we got used to all the quirks that we already have. I mean, no one, me included, never thought about, yeah, it's this is the way we install WordPress, and that's it. It's okay. Some people for, let's say, for testing, started using SQLite just to make everything simpler, but still the whole process was more or less the same. Kind of tried to, some started using Composer, some started using WPCLI, but in general nothing changed. It was just a kind of different way of interacting with the same. And yeah, and this is and this totally changes everything. And how can the community help you? Because what are the things in which you feel that you'd require the most help where you are not so sure, or because, yeah, I mean, we can't be great at everything, right? So where are the things where you would really need some help the most?
Oh, there's plenty of them. But to find a way to prioritize that, even documentation is a huge one. And documentation, I don't mean like the documents you write. I mean making it easy for everyone to use Playground. So to me, like even user interface is documentation, right? Like if I use an app and I have a question, I don't know how to do something, well, I need to read some docs, but why do I even have this question in the first place, right? Something was not unintuitive. So if you see anything like that in Playground, like please, please, please file an issue. And if you happen to be a designer or a developer, or you happen to be talented with writing, oh, that would be so lovely if you also included a pull request with that, or at least just started a discussion. Hey, like here's an idea I have how to fix it. That would be so Can I say freaking? So freaking amazing.
Yes, you can. I always say that it's that every episode is not safe for children, so you
Awesome.
can
So
go
yeah,
with the
like,
full version.
so thing number one, just share your experience. Like anything, like you find something hard, say it. You know how to make it better, perfect. Tell me, tell everyone who's working on Playground. Oh, you have the skills to make it better. Please make it happen. And I would say that's actually not just the most important item, but probably the only item, right? Like I don't dare to ask anyone, hey, here's a bunch of features that I care about, but you don't care about. Like no one will do anything about them because why? But if there's something that you care about that makes your Playground journey not as nice as you'd like to be, or maybe it's a blocker for your very specific, I don't know, a plugin previewer, well, I'd love to help. And I really hope to make Playground work welcoming place for everyone like you, both in terms of like the community and in terms of how easy it is to get started with contributing. Share your first pull request, get it merged, right? Get a review, figure out what are the next steps after that. So the entire process. So just by going out there and making effort to even create a small issue in Playground repo, right? Like, or sending a one sentence message on Slack, you actually help make this a very welcoming and friendly project for everyone else.
Okay, I get it. I mean, I can already tell when it comes to reviewing pull requests, you are doing a really great job. I did
Thank
a
you.
small pull request during WordCamp Europe Contributor Day. The same day it was merged. And
I actually felt bad for making you wait like 3 hours.
so yeah, so
Thank
this
you
is
for
the
that, by the way. This was amazing. So for everyone who was not on WCU or didn't hear the conversation me and Maciek had, like in a corner of the room where no one else was, Maciek integrated Algolia with Playground Docs, which means now we have a search feature and you can search through the documentation, which is amazing because before that you had to click through, know where things are not so good, but now there's search.
and this was kind of the thing that I also was trying to find something in the documentation, and there wasn't a
You
search,
see,
so
that's how it works.
so I was like, yeah, let's add it because it's an open source project, so it will be easy and free because Algolia has this nice doc search feature when they are kind of helping open source project to add search engines to their websites for free. You just have
Yeah,
to apply, and that's it.
this is
And
amazing.
what's next? What is the next big feature you are working about, or maybe two of them?
Oh, the next big feature is my sabbatical, which starts in just 2 short weeks from now. And during that sabbatical, my colleague Dennis Snell, who also was there with me on WordCamp EU during the WP Playground session, he will be looking over the project and hopefully facilitating a fantastic space for contributing. Like Dennis is probably the most talented developer I know. He also understands people and understands machines, so I'm very confident about that. But before that happens, I would like to I'm not sure like how many of these things are possible. Like the time is quite short, and I have one more conference between now and then to attend. But if anything at all related to WordPress Playground appeared on WordPress.org, maybe on learn.wordpress.org, maybe that would be an interactive code snippet, maybe that would be an interactive website or a plugin preview. But if anything at all like appeared there, oh, that would be so amazing, and it would open door to so much more. Because if one person can write a guided tutorial, everyone can, and everyone wants these tutorials, right? So like I fully anticipate an influx of great content. I want to ship this local file system thing where you go to playground.wordpress.net and you use your own files. That would be so amazing. And I would say these are just the two things I will have time for. Like maybe a bunch of other bug fixes, maybe I'll help some contributors, but that isn't a whole lot of time, is it?
But is there some dream feature? Let's not think about time right now. Just
All right.
one thing that you really would love to have there, and probably you will start working on this after sabbatical, or probably during the
Hopefully
last
not
days.
doing, right?
Yeah,
Playground thing.
the problems of mixing hobby and work, right? It's
Yeah. I'll need a new hobby now. So uh, let's see. Well, the largest, like most dreamy things are actually not in my control at all. I would really love to have PHP in web browsers, and I cannot do anything about that. But that would be so
that's true.
amazing. But let's see. Uh, I have a little cheat sheet here. Maybe I can pull something from that I didn't mention yet. Uh, oh, yeah. Here's a great one. Real-time collaboration. And Playground opens some doors that WordPress core cannot, which means real-time collaboration in context of Gutenberg, like when we typically talk about it, we talk about making a whole lot of structural changes to how Gutenberg works
Mhm.
to make it possible to synchronize like these tiny little small events. Maybe I typed something in this place, or maybe I deleted this paragraph. Like how do we make sure we can both edit the same block? Technical problems like that. This will take a lot of time. I'm not sure if it even can be done. And that seems like a very difficult problem.
Mhm.
However, Playground happens to have a bunch of tools that can solve it completely in a different way. Like, for example, uh, I'm not sure if I ever told you, but before joining Automatic, I've been doing this live conferencing startup. So in your browser, you met with a couple of people. They all
Mhm.
enter the same URL. You've seen each other's documents, mouse cursor, you've heard your voices. And one of the features we had was live collaboration in a web browser. So one person shared their screen and other people could click on that screen. And it didn't require any browser plugin, something like that. It just magically worked right there in the browser. And that was about maybe 8 years ago, I want to say. So I know there are some great new APIs in web browser right now that will make it possible. And you don't need to solve anything in Gutenberg or WordPress itself. It's just a layer on top of it. There's also a
Mhm.
couple of like technical ways to not go full on adding Gutenberg support for that and still have it work in Playground. So I'll just say that, like having a great real-time collaboration that works even cross-device and just works like magic, that would be really cool.
Okay, yeah. Personally, the thing that I would really love to have at some point would be as if kind of WordPress Playground would become this offline application for every WordPress we use. So we don't have to have the internet all the time when we start editing something, when we start working on something.
Oh yeah.
I know that there are something things that would require the internet, for example, the API, whatever. But every time when I start working on something in WordPress, and yeah, I'm using our train, so the mobile internet is flaky to say it to say it best. And yes, thanks to this, I would have an offline application with which I could work. And at some point, when I have the internet, there will be the sync button or whatever, and voila, everything is working constantly. I don't have to. I just have to sync at every train station because those are the places where the internet is quite stable. And apart from this, the WordPress would not require any internet at all. So having something like this in core, so like the core would be, let's say, offline first and online when possible. This would be something.
That would be amazing. And Playground allows you to do this. So I think like some people call it PWA, right? Progressive Web App, where
Yeah.
you can just use it even without the internet and it syncs. So Playground makes it fantastically simple. Normally, you have to rebuild the entire thing in JavaScript, but in here you don't. You
Mhm.
just ship the entire WordPress as a PWA, and the only part to
Oh yeah.
figure out is syncing. And I think it's quite feasible and wouldn't be even that hard. Like there are still challenges, but it's not like 10 years of work required to do it. I think like, oh, I don't want to give any estimates. I'm learning that I'm not very good at that, but I I think it could happen sooner than you imagine. And then imagine also if that worked for users. So maybe you have a WooCommerce store, or like you're shopping for something, and you're also on a train and you enter a tunnel. There is no range whatsoever, but you can still shop.
Yes, yes, this would be really amazing. I mean, it will solve a lot of problems, because then we could start kind of using some features of WooCommerce, because we know how WooCommerce can become slow. Um I'm looking at the cart, because the cart is making the most of the problems at some point. And if having part of WooCommerce being kind of offline first, it it could change everything.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned one thing that got me curious. What what was your worst estimation ever?
That's a good one. Well, I guess 2 weeks for something that took about, well, all right, like, sorry, worst ever is that it never happened, right? I estimated some time and it was never shipped. But from the realm of what was shipped, I think it was like 10x difference. Like two
Oh,
weeks estimated, 20 weeks actual.
oh, okay. So that's a lot. Yeah, yeah. That's why for sure it will be soon ish.
Yeah, and that's when I stopped doing estimates.
Yeah, this is a cool part of working in with an open source project. I mean, everyone kind of understands some things. I mean, they are asking about features, but they fully understand. And there is a cool part that if the feature isn't shipped when they want, sometimes some of those people are okay. I will do it on my own, and you get a feature for free, right?
Yeah, but estimations are also about feeling of control, right? Like I'm a client, I'm paying for this thing. Will it be in budget? Like will it be in a reasonable, will happen in reasonable future, or will it not? And you can kind of achieve some of these things by doing frequent demos, right? Like last 5 days of work, like here's what's new, here are the challenges, and here's how much budget we spent during that time.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But still, with open
Yeah,
source, there are many things that can
much easier with
show
open
up from
source, of
some.
course.
Yeah, and on the other hand, yeah, someone can just deliver some way of using your product in a way you never thought of, and it's opened a lot of new doors that you would like to work on. So the other things become sometimes less interesting. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can fully imagine. Okay, so before wrapping up,
Actually, I wanted to show one more
oh
thing,
yeah,
if you don't mind.
oh of
So,
course.
uh, earlier you asked this question, what is the easier way to get started with WordPress Playground? And I said a bunch of things, but I didn't say the one I want to say, which is, here's my blog, and I published an article called Interactive Intro to WordPress Playground Public API. And it uses the interactive code block and WordPress Playground to teach you WordPress Playground. So go there, play with these examples. They all can be changed. They all are interactive. And yeah, like that's one way to learn.
That's it. You just enter something, press the run button,
Yeah,
voila.
it gets very meta, right? Like you can embed a blog in a blog in a blog. That could be a cool escape room or something for puzzle lovers.
True,
Just find the right
true.
site.
Find the right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So before wrapping up, one thing. What would you like your community to help you with, like right now, or maybe different, because you are going on a sabbatical, right? So
Yeah.
what you would like from your community to get, so after you return from your sabbatical, you open how the project looks like, and what you would like to see there.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, man. Where do I start? Uh, I would like to see all playground use cases on WordPress.org. And I would like to see a very easy way of putting a product demo on a homepage, right? Like not even like need to figure out any documentation at all. Like I'll stop right mid sentence. Here's something I would really like to see. I'm also pretty sure it won't happen, but imagine, so Playground is all about these blueprints, right? You write JSON files, you assemble steps, you build a site. So it turns out these blueprints can be merged. So you can have a wall blueprint and a blog blueprint and some content, yada, yada. You put them together, you get a e-commerce blog with a specific content. So here's something that could be quite revolutionary. If all of these things were Gutenberg blocks and patterns, you could create entire WordPress sites just by editing blocks. And you save them, it spins a site. And you want to change something, you want to spin 10 sites, well, sure. Make it a reusable block or a pattern, or like click publish 10 times. Now every post is a separate full site. And maybe they can be persisted, right? Maybe you can edit things in admin there. So that would be like WordPress democratizes publishing, and this would democratize WordPress.
I'm already kind of thinking how to do it because it sounds quite simple.
Yes.
I mean,
and so powerful.
Yeah, because of course it's always all about the details because it might sound simple, but the details. But yeah, I can already see like having a post type in which every post is a creator of the new WordPress, and it just creates this big JSON file that you put. You just have to have this quite big set of blocks.
Yeah.
Which you can create with one custom block called pure JSON that you
All right.
just if
I'll
you don't
show you
have
something. Last thing, probably. I know we're running out of time. So
Oh, no worries.
In Blueprint docs, there are some steps described, right? Like there's a login step in here, and maybe you can activate a plugin. And then if you go further down, well, we can copy some files, yada, yada. So where I'm going with this, there's also install plugin step, is that all of this right here, I didn't write it on the doc page. It's generated from the code. Like this entire page is generated from the code base. The comments, the parameters, the examples using 2 different APIs, the try it out button. So like, I'm kind of thinking a blog interface for that could also be auto-generated from code. So when the Blueprint format evolves, you automatically get a new UI for that, and it requires zero maintenance.
That is true. That is true because it's all about filling those values there and having an interface.
Yeah.
That's it.
There is a JSON schema for the Blueprint format that's also auto-generated. So maybe, I don't know, JSON schema to Gutenberg block for more accessible internet. Anyone?
In short, dear community, remember, Adam is going for 2 weeks. But you are going for 1 month, right?
I'm going for 3 months, 2 weeks from now.
You are going for 3 months so you have 3 months and 2 weeks to make it happen, just like this.
Please. I will love you.
Make him at least an alpha version as a great gift when he will come back. He will open his computer, although I'm not sure he won't open it before. But let's see. Yeah, and he will get this great and amazing surprise. So, Adam, thank you so much because
thank you for having me.
Like I said it before to you that while lately I did not saw too many things that were so revolutionary in WordPress because we kind of more focused on Gutenberg, more focused on the way how users can edit their websites without writing code. And while I understand that for some users this is groundbreaking, for me it was kind of boring and it wasn't my thing. But seeing something like this, it really makes me happy to see that there are still projects that happens in WordPress that are so exciting. They are so exciting that are totally they're totally different than all the rest. That that are just as great as this. So
thank you so
really,
much.
Really
it's
big fan.
really great to hear that. Oh man, thanks.
So, yeah, so Adam, thank you again. And this was the last episode of the first season of the Code and Coffee Show. Now we are taking about, let's say I'm also taking a Code and Coffee Show sabbatical for, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months, but don't worry. I'm already working on a list of guests for another season. It will be also exciting and interesting, and I hope that you will still remember about us in those 2 or 3 months. So, everyone, have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us. Adam, thanks again for joining us, and yeah,
Thank you for
great day.
inviting me, and thank you all for listening.
Bye.